So first off, welcome. My name is Gus Nahera. I am the Associate Director of Post-Secondary Programs. I'm sure at this point you've hopefully seen me or talked to me at least at one point or another. So my focus, or what my team and I do, is we try to provide you as many resources as possible while you're in college. Our goal is for you to succeed throughout your college career, and we want to help you any way that we can. So it's really important that you communicate with us and you keep in contact with us. Right now, I mainly work with our upperclassmen, so our third and fourth years, but the rest of my team works with the underclassmen, and most of you will be working with the rest of my team. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So let's start with Olivia.
Hi, everybody. My name is Olivia De La O, and I'm the Post-Secondary Program Coordinator. So I work alongside Gus and Bridget. I mostly work with our community college students and our TSP program. So you will see me around. I may not work with all of you all of the time, but just know that I'm here to support you in any way that I can.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bridget Escobar. I am the College Success Advisor. I primarily work with first and second year scholarship students and college success students. So you will be seeing a lot of me and hearing a lot from me. So I welcome you and thank you for being here today.
So welcome officially to Fulfillment Fund University. So Fulfillment Fund University is really like our summer orientation program. Just like you have summer orientation for your schools, we want to have summer orientation for Fulfillment Fund so you're aware of all the requirements in order to continue to receive our scholarship and to continue to be part of our program. Everything that we do is for your benefit. Like all the work that Olivia, Bridget, and myself do is because we want you to succeed and we want you to thrive. So it's really important to keep that in mind. So before we jump into all the logistics of things that we need you to do, I really just quickly, or maybe not so quickly, go through or go over some of the requirements. So actually before I do that, all of you should have at least started your GradSnap account, right? So give me a thumbs up if you completed your GradSnap registration. And be honest, we know if you're lying, so. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the first part of your GradSnap registration was reading the policy. And if you saw the video that I tried to do for y'all, one of the biggest things that I mentioned is to go over the policy because it's really important because it really details all the requirements that we have for you to be part of our scholarship program. So really quickly, I just kind of want to go over this with you. So that way you know exactly what we expect of you. There's no surprises and you're really aware of everything that we need from you. So bear with me. A lot of this is logistical information, but it's really important for you to know. And if, of course, if at any point you do have questions, please write them on the chat, and Olivia and Bridget will be monitoring that. So as I'm talking, if they see a question on the chat, they'll stop me and they'll ask me the question, and I'll be more than happy to answer that. So we're going to be doing that all throughout our workshop, our webinar. So please don't hesitate to ask questions because this is for you. The last thing we want is for you to be like, oh, I had no idea I had to do this. So please, like I said, we encourage questions. So Fulfillment Fund Scholarship 2020. So first of all of you should have read this already. But I get it. I have also seen like terms and things like that where I just kind of automatically check the box without really reading it. So in case that was you, which could have been some of you, I'm not accusing anybody, we're going to just go through them. So first off, academic. It's important for all of you to receive our scholarship for you to be full-time students. Now, in order for you to be a full-time student, you have to be taking at least 12 units per quarter or semester. So what that means is that if one semester, one quarter, you are not taking 12 units, then that semester you may not be eligible for our scholarship. So if, it's always important that you're always taking full-time classes, and we will be verifying that information through GradSnap. That's where you will upload all that information. And later on through this webinar, I will show you how to upload different documents, how to upload different things so we can verify that information. But that's a biggie. So, and before, all of you are going to receive this document, and you see where it says initials, you will be initialing next to that. So you can say like, yes, I realize this. Yes, I acknowledge this. So every single thing that we're talking about, that way we all know. We need this agreement before we, it's essentially like a contract, if you will, for you to receive our scholarship. Students must maintain a term and overall GPA of above a 2.0. So it's important for you to have a GPA above a 2.0. Just like for those of you that played sports, right? If you played a sport, they would not allow you to play if your GPA was not above a 2.0, right? You get grade cut. Same concept. if you are not above a 2.0, you will get cut from our program, or at the very least be placed on academic probation, where you have to fill out something called an academic action plan. And Bridget is actually, Olivia is actually going to be covering that a little bit later. So she'll be able to kind of tell you what that looks like. So the first time, like I said, you have to meet with the post-secondary team and you have to complete something called an academic action plan. The second time, so the first time will just be a warning, but you'll still receive the scholarship. The second time, you will probably lose your award for that term. And the third time, you can be in danger of completely being disqualified from our program. So it's really important that you remember that you have to keep your grades up. So if, as soon as you have issues with your classes or whatever, please reach out to us so we're aware of the situation. That's so important. I'm going to go over to communication. You have to check in with us at least once per term. So for those of you that are going to quarter schools like, UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, all those other UCs, you have to check in with us once per quarter. So once in the fall, once in the winter, once in the spring. And for those of you that are semester schools, like some of the Cal States, then you have to check in with us once per semester. So once in the spring, once in the fall. And we'll be emailing you for you to schedule those check-ins through Calendly. So I'm sure all of you have used Calendly at one point or another to schedule something. So that's really what we use. And then you meet with, in this case, most of you will probably be meeting with Bridget. So you'll be meeting with Bridget and she'll be kind of going to run down of the update of what's going on at your quarter. So you have to do that once per semester or once per quarter. Actually, that was for participation. So everything on GradSnap, you're also going to have to complete, which is a check-in on GradSnap, and I'll show you what that looks like. So you do have to complete that once per term as well. And also, communication is key for us. If we do not hear from you for an entire semester or quarter, you will be disqualified. And what that means is if you ghost us. So if we're emailing you, we text you, we call you, and we still don't hear anything from you for months on end, we would disqualify you from our program. The last thing we want to do is for you to ghost us. So if there's something wrong, just keep us updated. We were students just like you not so long ago. So we understand that things happen. So if it's like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I got a couple of F's. My GPA is below a 2.0. I'm not too proud of it, but it is what it is. Like, we rather you do that than we completely not know what's going on. So if you tell us that, we can make exceptions and we can award you at certain times if we feel we need to. So please make sure to communicate with us. That's so important. Sometimes it's so undervalued how important communication is. For participation, like I mentioned, you have to check in with us at least once per semester. We're going to have different webinars. Some of you have already participated in our webinars. So we'll have different webinars throughout the year that you will be required to participate in at least once per term. So we understand that there's different webinars that are not going to interest you. So for example, if we're having a law school webinar and you have no intentions of ever going to law school, of course, we don't expect you to participate in that one. But we will have different webinars throughout the semester. So we expect you to participate in at least once per term. And for those of you that are going to some of the schools mentioned below, we have a peer mentoring program. So for example, schools like Dominguez Hills, Cal State LA, CSUN, Davis, Riverside, UCLA, and Merced, we're going to have peer mentor programs. And what that means is we're going to have upperclassmen already there. A lot of you were already on the chat, wrote something about feeling like you're going to be the only one there on campus, feeling like you're not going to have different friends. So the point of peer mentoring is as soon as you step foot on campus, actually before you even step foot on campus or whenever you step foot on campus, you're already going to know different students that go to those schools. So one, you're going to have a peer mentor, so a third or fourth year student that can kind of guide you. So they can tell you where everything is at, like where the different buildings are at, where the financial aid office is at, where you can get the best snacks and all these different things, and just different tips and pointers that they can have. And they'll organize different events throughout the year for you. So they might organize all right, hey, today we're all going to go bowling together. And then we'll provide a small stipend to you all guys. So everybody that's at, Cal State LA at that point is going to go together and they're going to go bowling. So you already have that little community. So that's really what we want to try to do for some of these schools. And if you're wondering why it's only these schools, it's because these are some of the schools with a higher concentration of students. So we have a lot of students in those schools, and that's what we're trying to build these communities out. However, as you can see over here, schools subject to change. So if for whatever reason we see that we have another school that may have more concentration of students than some of the schools listed here, we might add one and remove another one. So just FYI. But at the end of the day, if you do attend these schools, you are required to be part of our peer mentoring program. It is not an option, you are required. And lastly, we have an event called Destination College Plus, which most of you attended. And if you, and we're gonna have it again this year, probably sometime in October. So you all are required to attend unless you have a valid reason. Same thing as like today, for those of you that had a valid, or for those that had a valid reason and were not able to attend, we give an exception to, but everybody else is required. So same concept. And of course, like I said, if you don't complete or don't adhere to some of these things, then you can be disqualified from our program. And lastly, if you're going to take a leave of absence, if you're not going to be there for a semester for whatever reason, just let us know. So this is the gist of it. You're going to have to sign, you're going to initial all of it. You're going to sign it and date it. Normally in person, we would have all of you do it on the spot, but of course that's not going to happen. Olivia, take over, and she's going to explain to you what our academic action plan is and what it entails.
Okay, hi again, everybody. So like I said, I'm going to go over the academic action plan, talk about what are some of the reasons why you would need to be on an academic action plan, and I'm going to give you an example of what it looks like to fill one out in the whole process. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. All right. So this is a sample of an academic action plan that we use, right? So if we start at the very beginning, we give you very clear instructions as to why you would need to fill this out. So just going over the form, you need to fill out this form only if your GPA fell below a 2.0, or if you dropped more than half of your classes while receiving scholarship monies. So whether it's your GPA for the term falling below a 2.0, or if you fell below full time, then that would mean you need to fill out an academic action plan because you're not adhering to our policies, okay? So the form itself is pretty straightforward, but I do want to talk about the specific components. And again, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, and Gus and Bridget will be monitoring it so they can answer as we go along. Okay. So moving on with the instructions, you must meet with the academic advisor. So this means us, right? So your advisor for Fulfillment Fund on your college campus. So you don't have to have them sign this. It's primarily for us. So we might change the wording on that so it's a little bit more clear. But just know that your responsibility is to meet with us to fill this out. So that way we are aware of everything. Obviously, if you are falling below a 2.0 on your campus, you want to meet with your academic advisor there as well, because you might also be on academic probation with them. So make sure that if you are on an academic action plan with us, make sure that you're double checking with your university to check on your standing as well. Okay, so moving on, you're going to put your full name. So this is Sally student or mock student. We ask for your term GPA because that's what we look at for assessing your progress, right? So when you do turn in your transcript, it's going to have your term GPA, say for the fall, and your cumulative GPA. So for everything in your academic history at that institution. So the academic action plan is going to be based on your term GPA. So that's really important. Your cumulative GPA will most likely be higher. It usually is in some situations, but what we're looking at is your term GPA. So in this instance, the student got a 1.7. So there you go, below 2.0, she needs to do an academic action plan. We ask for your major. We already have that information, but we just want to make sure that it's up to date, right? So maybe you changed halfway through and we don't know that. So this is important information for us to have. And then again, we ask for your overall cumulative GPA to kind of see where you are academically, not just this term, but again, overall. We do ask you to assess for yourself why you feel the semester or the term went the way it did. So it could be a lot of different things, and students have shared a variety of different reasons for why the term didn't go as planned. And this isn't for us to judge you. This isn't for us to be nosy, but it's really to get some more information so that we can best support you as we're having this conversation. If it's something very specific that we have tools for, we can kind of guide you to resources to help you out of this situation, then great, then we can do that. Maybe we also need to provide you with somebody else to talk to if it's something more of a personal matter or mental health related. So again, we ask this so we can provide as much resources as we can or connect you to other resources if we're not able to help you. So you can see the reasons we listed here. Could be unclear career goals, maybe you just weren't sure, lack of motivation. Sometimes we get in that funk and by the time we get out of it, it's a little bit too late. Maybe you work too much, you committed too many hours to working off campus or even on campus. Personal issues, right? So we all have families, we all have personal lives, things happen. It could even be something like, you know, I broke my leg and it was hard for me to get around campus on time, anything like that, or even something more serious. Attendance, maybe just getting to class was hard for you. Maybe you need to work on your time management skills and your study skills, and then other, right? So it can be one or more of these things, or if you want to be more specific, you can also write it in next to the other box. After that, we do ask you for what your new goal is for this upcoming semester or quarter, because we want to understand that you are understanding that something needs to change, and we want to make sure that you're setting a clear goal for yourself, so a clear guideline. So this student put, my goal for this semester is to successfully pass my classes and stay focused on school. So it doesn't have to be super specific, but it can be very general. You know, I want to improve my GPA, I want to go to class more, anything like that. All right. And then lastly, we do ask you to provide 3 specific strategies or actions to help you reach that goal. So if you know that attendance was a problem, how are you going to make sure that that doesn't happen again? Is it getting a planner? Is it setting multiple alarms? Anything that's going to help you. So for this student, for the issues that she said she was having during the term, working too much, personal issues, attendance, time management, and poor study skills, she put change availability at work to reduce hours. Okay, so that's one very clear action that you can take to help get rid of that issue of working too much. 2, using a planner and email calendar to keep track of assignments and meetings. So that's really important as well. So if that's something you struggle with, that could be a goal that you set. And then ask for help in class and office hours and from fulfillment fund, right? So connecting to resources. And these 3 strategies, again, is just to make sure that you're understanding that something needs to change. And then if you need help brainstorming ideas or figuring out what the best way to go about tackling these issues, then that's why we're here to have that discussion. At the very end, you are going to provide your signature stating that you understand the terms of this academic action plan. So here we have, I commit to taking the necessary steps to meet the minimum GPA requirement of a 2.0, and specifically by following the actions above. I understand if my GPA falls below a 2.0 again, I will lose my scholarship payment, right? So this is, you're signing that saying that yes, you understand the academic action plan, but this is also referring to the policies that we just went over as well. So if you have questions about that, make sure that you're asking those before you do sign any of the documents, right? Because as soon as you put your signature on this paper, that is you saying that, yes, I understand the terms, and I do understand that if I get to a second academic action plan, that I will lose my scholarship funds. So we don't want that to happen to anybody. Sometimes it may happen depending on your situation. But the most important thing is that you're asking questions and having conversations with us even before it gets to this point. So yes, you may have to fill out an academic action plan, but if you feel like you kind of know where you're going to land at the end of the term, please reach out and let us know. You don't have to feel embarrassed. You don't have to feel like we're judging you. You know, college is hard and things happen, right? Not everything is happening in a bubble. And we understand right now more than ever, everything has a steep learning curve. So don't feel embarrassed at all if you do have to fill out an academic action plan and have this conversation. We have these conversations a lot, right? So it's very common. So don't feel like you're the only one.
It's better that you complete the academic action plan and still get paid. The mistake that a lot of students make is as soon as they get an F or they fall below a 2.0, they just they ghost us. That's it. They just don't, they assume well, I'm not going to qualify. Why am I going to apply for the scholarship? But that's not the case. It's happened where students, don't complete the academic action plan and we still pay them. Sometimes it happens the second time when a student has just a completely crazy situation where it's you know what, any one of us, had we gone through that, our GPA would have fell below a 2.02. So there is that human element of it. Yes, we do have certain requirements, but we're humans too. We get it. We understand life happens. So if you talk to us, if you tell us what's going on, we'll discuss amongst each other and be you know what, hey, this student's going through this student's through that. What do we do? Bridget and Olivia have told me multiple times, hey, this student just told me that they're going through this crazy thing with their family and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And I'm you know what? Let's go ahead and pay them anyway. But it's all comes down to communication. If we don't know what's going on, then we're not going to be able to make exceptions for you. But if you tell us what's going on with you, we're more than happy to work with you. So it's I can't stress that enough. And I'm sure you hear that 1,000% of the time, but especially now that you're all going to college, we're not going to be there with you. It's not like right now where you're at the RFK complex or at HAMI or whatever school you attend that we can just go and pull you out of your classroom. We don't have that anymore. The policy will be due. I'm probably going to send it out to you. Today's Friday, so I'm not going to send it out today. I'll probably send it out to you sometime early next week. and I'll give you a due date, but it'll be within a week of after you get it. So you should have at this point gone through the policy twice, once by yourself when you did GradSnap and once with me right now, and you'll be able to do it. It'll be virtual. You'll be signing everything virtual. I haven't sent out the policy yet. So if you haven't received it, it's because I haven't sent it out. So don't worry, don't panic. The only time that the policy came up is when you completed your GradSnap. That was one of the first things that it said, like, hey, before you continue, please read the policy. And that's why I said, like, I figured, and a lot of you kind of just probably saw it and you're like, yep, checkbox, boom. So that's why I wanted to go through it with you. So if you haven't received it yet, don't worry about it. I will send it out early next week. And the other question was about peer mentoring. Peer mentoring, so once again, peer, right? It means that somebody that's around your age group. So, and mentoring, obviously we all know somebody mentoring is somebody that can guide you. So somebody that's around your age that's going to guide you. That's what a peer mentoring program is. So for some of you that are in our most concentrated schools, meaning that there's a lot of students that go there. For example, like Cal State LA. Cal State LA is usually a pretty popular school amongst their students. It's one of our local schools, so a lot of students attend there. So Cal State LA is going to have a peer, or has a peer mentoring program. And what that means is a third and fourth year student essentially is your mentor, and they schedule and organize different activities for you. So for example, it was meant to be in person, right? So now we've had to pivot and had to do it virtual. But we actually had a virtual workshop similar to what we're doing right now with our peer mentors and mentees. So the point is that mentor kind of gets everybody, and I'm just using Cal State LA as an example. So that mentor gets everybody, all the students that are in our peer mentoring program at Cal State LA together. They create different events. That way everybody kind of gets to know each other. And it's really cool kind of going into a school already having friends, already having people that you know. That way it's kind of just like a safety net. You know, nobody wants to go somewhere where they feel alone and they feel that they don't have a support system. So peer mentoring is an additional support system at some particular school. So as of now, the schools that we for sure going to have peer mentoring in are Cal State LA, Cal State Northridge, UCLA, Merced, UC Merced, Dominguez Hills, and then Davis is a maybe. We're still seeing how many students we're going to have there, but I would like to have it at Davis. And I think I got them all. And UC Riverside. UC Riverside is another one. But all right, let me catch up because I feel like, let's see. So hopefully that answered your question about peer mentoring. How do we know if we completed GradSnap? So as of now, all you have assigned to you are 3 things. And you can rewatch the video. It's your registration, number 1. And that's just the easy thing. Like everybody should complete the registration. Your initial plans and your final plans. Those are the 3 things that you've been assigned in GradSnap right now. So I will actually, after, and give me just like a few minutes, I'm going to let Bridget go over some stuff first. I'll actually walk you through GradSnap, so I'll be able to point like where everything looks like, so you'll have a better idea. And I'm sure a lot of you are visual learners, so it'll be easier to actually see it. So we'll table that one for a bit. Yeah, I'm sorry, Olivia already mentioned that. Thanks, Olivia. Okay, cool. So our next part, so all of you obviously want to get paid. And in order to get paid, we need some of your financial information. So here to cover that will be Bridget. She's going to kind of talk about what that process looks like, what the sheet looks like, and so on and so forth.
All right, everyone. So yeah, as Gus mentioned, let's talk about how you're going to get paid. All right. So each of you will have to complete this sheet right here. So I went ahead and filled it out myself. And so you start off with putting your name and your phone number, and you would have to answer this first question that's right here. How would you like to receive your scholarship payment? Since you're all first timers and this is your first year receiving a scholarship, you would definitely have to bubble this first one if you are receiving direct deposit. So you will be receiving direct deposit into a new bank account. And you will also have to attach either a voided check or a screenshot that contains your account and routing number. I'll talk a little bit about that later in the slides. This next bullet is for either your second term and thereon after. So if nothing changes on your account and you want to continue receiving it to the same account that you put the first time, you would bubble in this section. However, don't worry about it this time because it is your first time. And finally, the third option that we offer is a paper check. And all you would have to put is the address you would want it mailed to. Now, something to take in consideration when it comes to paper checks is that they do take a lot longer to process. So if you want that money faster, we encourage direct deposit, but if you're okay to wait and you don't mind receiving a check, paper check would be the option for you. Now, here is our authorization of agreement to how we will pay you. I won't read it detail by, or word by word, I should say. I'll give you the opportunity to do that, but I'll just hit the bullet points. So basically what this agreement says is that any accidental credit deposits, for example, if we accidentally put too much money, let's say your scholarship is 1,000 and we put 2,000. Basically, this gives us the authority to take out that difference, that extra money that we accidentally put in. This agreement also addresses if there are any issues between your bank or any delays or loss of funds between your bank, it is not our fault. That would be something that you would need to talk to your bank about. And finally, the last kind of bullet point is if there are any changes or if you decide to withdraw from the program, that is on you to submit a form. You could either resubmit this if there are any changes to your bank, or if you want to remove yourself from the program, you would have to let us know and we will follow up with you on how to go about that. This next section is about your account information. So name of your financial institution. I put a really popular one, which is Wells Fargo, but it varies. Some of you may have a credit union. Some of you may have Chase, Bank of America, wherever you want to deposit it, wherever you want your scholarship deposited to, you would put the name right there. Routing number would go here, and then your account number. Again, I will talk about those in the slides that are coming up, so hold off on that. And then also, if you want to deposit it to your checkings account or to your savings account, that would determine, that's on you and depending on what account you have in your bank. And finally, the most important thing, this is one of the biggest issues that we come across, is this signature right here at the bottom. We require a virtual signature. If you need help with this virtual signature, please feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you, but it's super important to put that signature here because this gives us that authority and the go to start processing your scholarship. It's also important to date it. And finally, if you have a joint account, usually with the parent, you would ask them to sign as well here and date it as well. All right. This next slide, or sorry, this next page is optional. So this page right here is basically asking you to give us access to your campus portal. This is completely optional. You don't have to necessarily do this. It's completely up to you. Now, the reason that we ask for your campus portal and how it would be helpful for us is if we need quick access to maybe your transcripts or maybe your enrollment or maybe your financial aid award letter. These are things that, yes, we can ask you via email, maybe via text, maybe even call you, but sometimes it takes a long time to get that messaging and maybe you're busy and maybe it's an urgent need. So if you would like to give us access to your campus portal, you would say yes here and you would put your username and your password. If you don't feel comfortable, that's fine too. You would just select no. All right, account number versus routing number. So I give you I'm giving you here the exact definition of what an account number is and what a routing number is. So an account number is a unique set of numbers that identifies the owner of an account and grants access to it. So the key word here is unique. This set of numbers for your bank account is specifically unique to you and you only. Now, a routing number is a 9-digit code that's based on the US bank location of where your account was opened. So this 9-digit code, it's usually a 9-digit code. A lot of people within the area, if the area that you got your bank account from or the specific bank that you got it from are gonna have the same routing number. It's super important to know that these two numbers are different and an account number is unique to you. Now, something important to note is that some of you may ask, is my account number on my debit card? And the answer is no. The number on your debit card, it is not your account number. Your account number is given to you by your bank. So if you don't have access to that, you would have to call your bank, or if you don't have an account at all, you would have to create an account with your bank. And this is specifically for direct deposit. I gave some examples here of how to find your account number and your routing number. I used two popular bank institutions. The first one is a Wells Fargo, and this is if you're looking at it through the website. If you log onto your website and you have Wells Fargo, there are 4 numbers here that pop up, and that gives you, those are the last 4 numbers of your account. right? If you were to click on it, your account number would pop up. And that would be the account number that you put on your payment form. And you would also have to take a screenshot of this account number in order to give it to us so we can verify it. And the same goes for your routing number. Your routing number is also on the website. You would have to do a little bit more navigating to find your routing number, but there's usually a link to click you there. And the routing number, sometimes there's options of different routing numbers, but you would have to select the direct deposit or electronic payment routing number. Screenshot these and send them to us. It's really important to get screenshots because we want to make sure that we're sending it to the right account. And then finally, this is an example of the Chase app. The Chase app is a little bit easier to kind of navigate because all you have to do is when you log onto your app, you just go to you click the account, which is usually your checkings, and you pop up the account details. And right when you pop up the account details, your account number and your routing number will pop up right there. Now, all we need is a screenshot of your account number and your routing number. If you can, please edit all this other private stuff. We don't need to see any other information other than your account number and your routing number. And finally, some of you may have never seen this before, but this is a check. A check is also something that you can turn in if you have a checking book. You can turn one in to us. You can take a picture of it or you can scan it. And what's cool about a check is that it gives you the routing number right here in the bottom left corner, and right in the center, it gives you your account number. One thing that's super important about sending in a check is that you have to make sure it's voided. What that means is that it's not for use, it's just for sending this information that's down here. All right. Any questions? So we have a question. I have a paper that I received when I opened my bank account and it has my account number and my routing number. Is a picture of that okay or a screenshot preferred? Either or is fine, whatever you'd like to send in. We'll take a screenshot. If you want to take a picture of your account and your routing number, that's acceptable too.
Okay, great.
Any more questions? So no cash, no cash. Sorry, Christian. So the next question says, by when do you need to have the bank account and send the info to you? So get it in as soon as possible. It will be a task that pops up on your GradSnap. Gus will discuss that a little bit later. So as soon as you can send in that information to your GradSnap, the sooner the better.
Okay. All right, great. So we're going to move on. No, we can't use PayPal, unfortunately. It has to be a banking account. So it has to go directly to your account. So for those of you who do not have an account, you can create one. Or the other option is a paper check. So if you don't want to create an account for whatever reason, then you can create, or it can be sent to your address as a paper check. But with the only problem with that is it will take longer. So for those of you that do direct deposit, you can get that, that money within like 2 or 3 days. For those of you that do checks, it'll take more like 2 or 3 weeks. So if you need that money immediately because you have to pay for your school fees or you have to buy something, then, the paper check option obviously will take a lot longer. So we recommend that you do direct deposit because it's just a lot easier. But, like I said, for those of you if you have your own reasons of why you don't want to, then you can also do that.
Yeah, something else to keep in mind, and I put it in the chat, is that the account must have your name on it, either as the account owner or the co-owner. So if you don't have a bank account and you're saying, oh, well, my parents do, I can just use theirs, we cannot accept that because the funds are supposed to directly go to you. So you need to make sure that your name is on the account.
One of the questions, oh, sorry, go ahead, Bridget.
I was just going to say, so if you are in that situation and you don't have access to a bank account or you can't make one for whatever reason, then a paper check would probably be the best option.
So question was the scholarship amount. So as of now, all of you are going to receive, so it's 2 different ones. So for those of you that are 4-year bound, you will receive a minimum of $1,000 per year for up to 4 years. And I say minimum because that amount can increase. It really depends on our funding. So for example, sometimes we get like additional funding throughout the year. We're able to increase your amounts. But you're all guaranteed at least $1,000. For those of you that are 2-year bound or that you're at a community college, your maximum is 500. And it's just because, for obvious reasons, community college is a little bit more affordable than some of our 4-year universities, but you will still receive funding for community college. And then just FYI, if you're you have to renew it every year, but our goal is to fund you for 4 years if you're at a 4-year, and if you're at community college, it'll be for 2 years. We'll have another one specifically more for community college students at a later date where we can discuss more specifics on that. All right, so at this time, I'm gonna go into GradSnap. GradSnap is essentially where we're gonna upload everything fulfillment fund based. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of walk you through what that looks like. So let's go ahead. Okay, I'm gonna share that. Okay, so when you log on to GradSnap, in order to log on to GradSnap, you're gonna click on that link that I sent you. So every single one of you should have received this link, and every single one of you should have at least already registered for GradSnap, hopefully, unless you spoke to me. Some of you did talk to me and let me know that you couldn't register for specific reasons, but that's fine. So anyways, this is what your home base looks like, and you go ahead and you log in. So once you log in, this is what you're gonna get. For those of you that still haven't completed your final plans, this is what it's going to look like. It's gonna say, please complete your check-in. That means that you still haven't completed it. So in this account that I created, I still have not completed my GradSnap final plans, right? So I can either click get started, or I can say, no, you know what, I'll just do it later. So this is what your GradSnap should look like, right? All of you, when you log in, this is what it should look like. So if you have an open check-in, meaning if you still have something to do, it'll live right here where it says open check-ins, it'll be right there. For those of you that are complete, it'll say something along the lines of like no check-ins available at this time, or there are no open check-ins right now, or something like that. So that means that you don't have to worry about anything. In this case, I do have to worry about something. I have my final plan due. So if I want to complete it, I would go ahead and click it, and it would take me to my final plan survey. And these are some of the things so I already completed academic plans and academic readiness, but I haven't completed my financial aid documents, my worksheet, my school life balance, my college knowledge quiz. So there's things that I still haven't completed. So for those of you that still need to complete it, it's very important that you do so sooner rather than later. So the only exception as of now, and we do have some students that are on this, that you shouldn't, or that you wouldn't be able to complete this, is if you have not received your financial aid award letter from your college. Some of you are in that boat where for whatever reason, you haven't received your award letter. If that happens, then okay, we will make an exception, but you have to let us know. Once again, communication is key. If we don't know, then we're gonna just assume that you're being negligent and not doing it. But if you're like, hey, you know what, my school, they said that I need to submit my parents' tax transcripts, and that's why I haven't done my financial aid portion of it, then like, all right, great, thank you for the update, thank you for the heads up, I appreciate that. Okay, that's fine. Let us know, keep us updated. Like I said, we're really flexible, like we really, really are. If you talk to us, if you tell us, like we are more than willing to work with you. But if you're just like, don't tell us, and of course, like we're not going to know. All right. I see some stuff on the chat. Are there some questions on the chat, Bridget, Olivia?
Yeah, Gus, we have a couple questions. There's a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a question from that says, can we edit the financial aid info at any time after completing if we made errors?
Yeah, you can always go back. And if you did make errors, it's important for you to let us know that there's an issue, and we'll go ahead and fix it. Academic issues.
We have another question. What kind of profile picture can we put?
That's a good question. That's actually one of the things that I was going to address. As long as it's appropriate, I really don't have an issue, and I would want it to be more of a headshot. So something that I can like, and that's actually one of the main points that I did have is we really would like you to have a profile picture, because it's the only opportunity that we really get to see your faces. As you can see, even right now, we don't really get to see your faces. But for us, it's really great because we're going to have hundreds of students that we're working with, and it's nice to put a face to a name. So if we see your name, like, oh yes, I remember this student. But if you don't put a biopic, all we get is, so you guys actually, this is what a student portal looks like. For us, we don't even get this. As you can see, there's like a little emoji for people that don't put pictures. For us, on the admin side, we get something like this. So if you don't put your name, or if you don't put a picture, all we get is like this weird little icon. So we have no idea like what you look like. So if I would just suggest a headshot, and of course, as long as it's appropriate, you're all smart, you all know what's appropriate and what's not. So we'll trust your judgment. But of course, as a picture for whatever reason isn't, we will warn you about it and we'll take it down. So please, just as like I said, as long as it's a headshot, it's appropriate, you should be fine. So on your financial aid award letter, it'll give you detailed information of the amounts of loans that you're taking out. So for example, for cost of attendance, pretty straightforward. You're gonna put the amount of this, the cost is like what it costs to go to that school. So how much does it cost to go to CSUN, for example? It'll be like $6,000 or $7,000 something dollars, and you'll go ahead and kind of list that information. This is your cost. And then someone said specifically about loans. So for loans, most of you are taking out federal Stafford loans, which is either a subsidized or an unsubsidized loan. So very, very simple. This is offered, meaning the school offered you that money. So let's just say most of you should have been offered loans. So if you look at your award letter, it says that they offered you maybe for a subsidized loan, they offered you $5,500, and for an unsubsidized loan, they offered you $1,500. So you will enter, okay, they gave me $5,500, but honestly, like I don't need to accept it. So I'm not accepting any of it. And that's what you would put. You were offered $5,500, but you accepted zero. Or on the other hand, it's, yeah, but my Perkins loan, I did take it out. So they offered me $1,000 and I accepted $1,000, right? So that's how you would list your loans. And it'll tell you, and you have to list it, was it an unsubsidized loan? Was it a subsidized loan? Was it a Perkins loan? Was it a Federal Plus loan? And then just FYI, for Federal Plus loans, we recommend that unless you absolutely have to, that you do not take out any Federal Plus loans. It's just more of like a disclosure. Usually we don't recommend any students to take out any Parent Plus loans. It's just really high interest rate, and it's very difficult. So if you're at a point where you're debating taking a Parent Plus loan, please reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to walk you through that. So otherwise, I wouldn't recommend for anybody to take out a Parent Plus loan. The other loans are okay, as long as, you stay within the range that you need to borrow. But besides that, I would recommend if you don't have to, obviously don't take out any loans.
So we do have a question. Can you talk a little bit about what a plus loan is?
A plus loan is a Parent Plus loan. So what that means is that, so for the other loans, the subsidized loan, the Perkins loan, those loans are directly to the student. So if I'm a student, that loan is given to me. A Parent Plus loan means that you are not borrowing, your parent is borrowing that loan. So who is responsible for paying that loan back? Your parent. Whose credit is it going to affect if you don't pay that loan back? Your parent. So you're basically starting to get your mom and dad involved in this at this point. All the other loans, if you take them out, it's completely up to you. Your parents have nothing to do with it, zero. But the Parent Plus loan, you need your parents to basically sign off for you to get a loan, and it'll affect them. And in addition to that, the interest rate are a lot higher. And for you, for example, you don't have to pay your loans back until 6 months, or you don't have to begin to repay your loan back until 6 months after you graduate. Your Parent Plus loans, your parents have to pay those loans 6 months after they take them out. So for example, if your parent would take out a loan today in June, by December, they already have to start paying that loan back. So that's why we usually discourage students from taking out Parent Plus loans. Okay, so I'm going to continue. And I do like the question, so I appreciate that. That means that obviously you're all staying engaged. So, okay, so make sure that you complete your final plans. This is the most important thing. And obviously, this is the only time you're ever going to have to do final plans. But every single semester or every single term that you're a part of our program, you will have to do a check-in very similar to the final plan version that you're doing right now. And it'll be right here. Every time you have to do a check-in, it'll come up, it should pop up right here where it says open check-ins. And you would click on it and you would go ahead and complete it. So it's very important. So once you complete the final plans, you are done for the fall term. You won't have to do another check-in until later on, maybe around, I would say maybe closer to end of like December, January, when you start your either winter or your spring semester. So once you complete this one, you're good for a few months. But what you will have to complete are your tasks. So one of the tasks that as of now you have not uploaded is your fall schedule. So some of you, I don't know if too many of you already have a class schedule, but you're already starting to complete your orientations and all that thing where you will get your schedule, meaning what classes will you be taking in the fall 2020 at whatever school you're going to, right? So you have to complete this task. So what I would do is, okay, so if you see, these are the tasks that you have assigned. So right now, this student has assigned a task and the due date is June 26th. So like, all right, they have about a month to complete it. But if you can complete it and get it out of the way, there's no reason why you should wait. So what I would do, or what you would do, is you would go ahead and click on complete the task. So on the complete the task, it's going to come up here. And this is an upload task, meaning like you have to upload something in order to complete this task. Now, this is extremely important. So one, it tells you when it's due, right? Once again, when you click the complete the task, but it also tells you directions. Very important to follow directions. I know over here, of course, you see it and you say, okay, it says fall 2020 class schedule. I know exactly what that is, but you have to follow directions. It says, okay, please upload a screenshot or a document containing your 2020 fall schedule. Pretty straightforward. But this is the most important thing. It must show us that you're a full-time student and taking at least 12 units, meaning we have to be able to see your units. If you just upload a schedule, sometimes you upload like a calendar where it tells us that you're taking 4 different classes, but if it doesn't tell us the amount of units each class is worth, we can't say, oh, this student is taking 12 units. Of course, we can make the guess, like, yes, they're taking 5 classes. Chances are those 5 classes amount to at least 12 units. But if it doesn't say your units, we can't verify that. So just because you upload a document does not mean that you're good to go. Because what happens is once you upload this doc, Olivia, Bridget, or myself on the other end, on the administration end, we evaluate it. We look through it. We make sure that, okay, like, all right, this student completed a class schedule. It looks good. All right, no, it's not. So for example, this is what a class schedule should look like, right? And this is what we want. So for example, it shows the class that they're taking. It shows the units, right? We know this student is taking this class, Introduction to Database Management. It's worth 3 units. They're also taking Digital Imaging Fundamentals. It's 3 units. They're taking College Algebra. It shows 3 units. So I know not a lot of us are good at math, but if a student uploaded this, do you think that this would suffice? And the short answer is no, because all we know is that this student is taking 9 units. 3, 3, 3, that's 9, right? So if just because this is exactly the schedule that we want to see, but it's missing another 3 units. So if a student were to upload this and Olivia, Bridget, or myself saw this, this would not be complete task. So what we would do is we would email you back and say, hey, I noticed that you did complete your class schedule, but you only have 9 units. Did you forget to upload another one of your classes? Have you still not registered for that class? Like, what's the issue? So we would tell you, or we would ask like, hey, please make sure to complete, or please make sure to upload your updated class schedule. So make sure that it has 12 units. And of course, like I said, it shows 3, 3, 3. And of course that the school or the class that you're in you're enrolled in that class. Okay. And lastly, all right, let me go back to, let me share my classroom again. Another thing too that's important for us, and this is more of, it's just preference for us, right? This is not something like if you upload it with a different name, we're not gonna be super mad at you or anything, but it's just easier for us. So if you look, all right, so now I click on that, I have to upload a class. So see if you, see if the name comes up. It's kind of hard to see the name. Oh, actually look. So look at what I named my document. So I went and I uploaded my doc. Look at what I named my document. Gus Nahida Fall 2020 class schedule. So that way, if you upload it, I know exactly what it is. Sometimes a lot of you will just name your document like schedule or fall or something super random. And we're like, sometimes we look at the doc and we have no idea what we're receiving. it's important for you, if you can, just name your doc. Give me your first initial and your last name, and then what is it? Fall 2020 class schedule. So if you're uploading a payment form, Gus Nahera Fall 2020 payment form. So that way you kind of get in the habit of those things. And for us, you're going to make our lives a whole lot easier because we're looking through all your documents. And yes, right now you only have one document, right? This will be your first document that you ever upload. But imagine in 2 or 3 years when you have like 20, 30, 40 documents that we have to go through, it's going to be super hard for us to find what we're looking for. But if it's named like this, Gus Nahera Fall 2020 class schedule, for us, that'll be so much easier. And you're definitely going to be one of our favorites if you do something like that. So like I said, the student, you upload it. There's no need, we don't need any notes or comments. You go ahead and click save for this task. And that's it. So that's all you needed to do. See, now it's complete. But remember, it's only complete on your end, because what's going to happen is in this specific instance, probably, like I said, like I mentioned, most of you are going to be under Bridget's caseload. So even though you have no more tasks to do, it doesn't mean that it's 100% complete, because Bridget still has to go look at it. And if you remember, this schedule that I uploaded only had 9 units. So that means that this student, Bridget probably would have reached out to them at a later time and said, hey, you're missing something. So just because you upload it once again does not mean that it's complete. Okay, so that's the tasks. And it's everything that, so you're all going to receive something about class schedule. You're all going to receive something about your payment form to make sure that you upload that. Those are the 2 main things that we're going to send to you. All right, so you're going to have 2 tasks to complete after you complete your final plans. Lastly, if you need to upload, sometimes Bridget or Olivia or myself are going to say, hey, can you please oh, this is a perfect example. We're going to say, hey, can you please upload your academic action plan onto GradSnap? And you're going to say, okay, well, where do I upload it? So my portfolio, if you click on it over here on your left corner, is where you upload all your docs. So some of your docs you're going to, just to reiterate, some of your docs you're going to be able to upload them directly through your tasks. So as you saw when I uploaded my class schedule, it was directly through my task. But other docs, sometimes we're not going to assign you tasks. We're going to just ask you, hey, please upload it. And this is where you would upload it, okay? If you need to add any doc, you would go ahead and over here, you would click, okay, what kind of file is it? In this case, you can say it's an academic advisor note, or you can call it, other, and you can name it. It's an academic action plan, right? And then you can go ahead and, drop and upload the file here. So my portfolio is where all the documents you ever uploaded in the history of GradSnap will be, and it's where you can upload any additional documents that you may need. One of the last things that I'm going to cover, because I think I've covered most of it, is just your personal profile. So as you can see, these are some of the students that we have. It says meet a student. It's almost like a Facebook type of thing where you can actually see what other students are up to. You can view their profile. And so I'm going to just click on a random student. So you can see, you're going to have access to this anyway. So as you can see, this is one of the student already graduated, but they were class of 13. It's the high school that they attended, the college that they attended. She didn't specify her major, but she wrote a little bit of a bio. And I think the bio, you all filled it out, or you should have filled it out during your initial plans. So either initial or final plans, I don't remember, but you should have filled the bio out already. And like I said, like you can see this student, and it's up to you how much you want it to be publicly shared. So over here on your bio, so as you can see, I haven't wrote anything for my bio, I just wrote a bunch of A's. But of course we would ask that you fill out your bio. And you can see here, like, okay, what do you want shared to the public? Maybe you're like, you know what? I don't want my email address shared. Like I'm cool if people see my photo and they see my bio, but I do not want to show my email address. That's completely fine. Or you're like, you know what? I don't want people knowing about my life. I don't want them to see my bio. That's fine. You can go ahead and close that out. And this is where you can add another picture or add a picture if you haven't added one already. And like I said, we strongly encourage you to add a picture, but we get it. Not everybody wants to have a picture on there. But if you do, once again, we really do appreciate that. It's really nice for us to see the students. We don't get to see you all the time, so it's really nice to have it on the GradSnap profile. All right, so I think I covered most of like GradSnap 101 or the things that I wanted to cover. Olivia, Bridget, did I miss anything or anything that I should address at this point?
I would just say one more thing about the documents is that once you do upload it, try to open it to make sure that it's the correct document, that it actually opens, because then if it doesn't open, that's gonna set us back to, we're gonna have to reach out to you. Hey, can you submit this? It's blank or it's the wrong form. I've had students submit other students' information because they were sharing laptops. So just make sure it's your information they're submitting. Just make sure to check it.
Yeah. Yeah, and on that topic of communication, there's various ways that we'll be communicating with you. Sometimes it'll be text, sometimes it'll be email, maybe even a phone call, or even communicating through GradSnap. That's one of the cool things about GradSnap. We can talk to you directly through there. So just be, I guess, just keep that in mind that we can communicate with you in various ways.
So I know on the final plan survey, I think I have a deadline of like late June. The only reason I would say for those, if you haven't completed, complete it over the weekend. So by Monday. If you, the only reason that your final plan survey could not be completed, once again, is if the school that you're attending did not give you a financial aid award letter, and therefore you cannot fill that section out. That is the only reason why your final plan survey would not be completed. But if that's your case, reach out to us. Let us know, like, hey, I actually had a student that reached out to me yesterday, and they told me that exact same thing, like, hey, you know what? I don't have my award letter yet. I don't know what to do. Hey, that's perfectly fine. Thank you for reaching out. You know what? We're going to make an exception for you. And the agreement that I had with the student was, hey, you know what? As soon as you get your award letter, do me a favor, do it ASAP. And they're like, yes, I promise. As soon as I get my award letter, I got it. I'll do it. And that's what I'll pretty much ask the same thing from you. Otherwise, you should have completed it. We're also going to assign 2 more things, and those are the tasks: a class schedule and a payment form. We haven't assigned those yet because most of you do not have a class schedule yet. So it's kind of pointless for us to assign it, but we will probably assign it next week just for it to be there, and we'll extend the deadline sometime into like July because I know some of you have orientations on different days. But I want to let you know that the sooner you complete these tasks, the sooner that you will get paid. Some of you do need additional money. Some of you are going to have to buy laptops. Maybe some of you don't have a laptop right now. You're going to have to buy a laptop over the summer because you've been borrowing an LAUSD laptop or something like that. So we do want to pay you. And some of you, just FYI, we will be paying you in July. So you will be paid next month, essentially, right? Or pretty much already in June. So you will be paid in July, but we cannot pay you unless you complete your tasks. So it's really important. And this goes for anything. Every single semester that you complete this, whenever, the faster you complete it, the sooner you will get paid. Some students come up to us like, how come I haven't got paid? Well, you just submitted it yesterday. Like, how do you expect it? Like, so the students that first submit it are going to be the first ones that get paid. So keep that in mind when you're submitting all your information. At this point, all of you should have had the school that you're attending, but some of you do not. You're either in between a community college and a 4-year, or you're in between a couple of different 4th years. If that is your case, that is another thing that we need to know. We want to know what school you're attending because that's how we're going to make certain decisions. For example, if you're attending a community, if you're telling us, I'll give you a perfect example. If you're telling us right now that you're attending a community college, we're going to award you less money if you're attending a 4th year, so a 4-year university. So we need to know these little things so we can start, being able to allocate certain funds. Same thing if you're going to be attending one school and not the other. We need to know that. It's that way we can know, like, all right, do you have to be part of peer mentoring? Do you not? So I ask all of you, if you are one of those students who is in between schools, send me an email. Either me, Olivia, or Bridget. Send us an email so we know. If we don't know, we're going to just assume that you're either haven't listed the school or that you're attending the school that you already listed. So if you're in between those situations, let us know. We will walk you through what that process looks like. Otherwise, we ask that all of you decide what school you'll be attending by no later than next week. If you're in between those, please decide by no later than next week. And like I said, if you're in between a serious situation or something, let us know and we'll walk you through that process as well.
So there was one more question before I move on about putting our scholarship on the scholarship section for GradSnap. So you would not put our scholarship because we are aware of the funds that we're giving you. We just want to know if there's any outside funds that we need to take into account.
That's a great point. Yeah. Thank you for that, Olivia. And thanks for whoever asked that. That's a great point. Do not ever put our scholarship. We know what we're giving you. We don't have to. It's just more of like Olivia said, for other, if you're receiving a scholarship through like through Now Academy or through Gates or something different, then that's fine. But otherwise, don't list it. So today was more like logistical, right? Like GradSub and all the computer stuff, all the tech stuff. Fulfillment Fund Day 2 is more of just like hands-on, like more like a little bit of hands-on workshops. What can we do? More discussion where you have an opportunity to, speak about your thoughts. We'll have some student panels from current college students, things like that. So it'll be a little bit more engaging and like I said, not as logistical as we discussed today, but it'll be Friday, June 26th.